Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. We are taking the LR Strength Final Form Cooler into the legendary Vegeta event. We're gonna have some fun, man. We're gonna have some fun with this unit. That's one of the key things I've been hearing with the Cooler, which I definitely have to agree with, that he is a lot of fun to use. And that's, you know, that's kind of weird. It's something I don't hear people say very often. And we're playing a game. Like, I always hear, is this guy the best in the game? Is this new Dokkan Fest the best in the game? Is this Yellow Coin LR one of the best LRs in the game? You know, are they top 3, top 5? You know, is this Easy A? Is he one of the best in the game? Can they take on Red Zone? Can they beat the Cell Max event? You know, there's obviously some valid points in there, there's some valid opinions and stuff, but never once do I hardly ever hear, oh, this unit's just so much fun to use. He may not be the best, he may not be the top 5, he may not be, you know, even top 10, but he's a lot of fun to use. Now, Cooler's definitely not outside the top 10. Cooler's probably like one of the best units in the entire game. In terms of where you put him, it's entirely up to you, but kind of top 3's probably a guarantee, not gonna lie to you. But hardly ever do I ever hear someone say, this unit is just so much fun to use. And Cooler really is. I haven't used him as much as I would have liked to, just trying to cover loads of content. I've still got a backlog of stuff I need to do, but when you use him, it's so much fun. Like, I loved using the Easy A Fizz Final Form Cooler. Like, he was so good to use. He was a lot of fun to use. To basically have an updated kind of steroid version of that, yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot of fun. You know, even without dupes, you know, with a Terrifying Conqueror's ally, you're still attacking, what, 4 times in one turn? The initial 18 key, which you'll end up getting when your key plus, when you get that full key plus 5, after doing, what, only 5 attacks? 10 attacks? It was 10 attacks to get the full build up on his attack and defense up to 100%, which again is just never an issue because, you know, he has the 2 built-in additionals and you're always guaranteed to do at least 1 super anyway, which after like 1 turn, maybe 2 turns, depending on orb placement. Actually, it's not even turns, after literally like 1 attack. But of course you have to wait till the next turn for Cooler to come back. But yeah, after like, and this technically was like 1, maybe 2 attacks, depending on orb placement, you're going to have your 18 key guaranteed the entire time, which means Cooler's just stacking up the entire event, like almost from turn 1, which is insane. And then doing at least 2 guaranteed additionals after that, it just makes him a lot of fun to use. As I said, the cumulative damage this LR Cooler can do is generally ridiculous. And you know, I'm actually going to rotate mine off to get mine on the main rotation with the transforming Freezer. I decided to bring that Freezer just because I didn't want LR Full Power Freezer to just kind of run through the event. Also, now that I finally have a 200% lead to actually run that AJL LR Full Power Freezer on, of course I want to do a video on it first before we see how he's cooking. But Cooler is definitely a lot of fun to use. You know, I've already stated he has like a very, very good 200% lead of Terrifying Conqueror's transformation boost. As that's the majority of Freezer and Cooler units, who of course share those typical links of like strongest cannon in space. You know, Coolers have first for conquest, big bad bosses being a major one, get that to level 10, you don't even need the HP condition anymore. Universe most malevolent, a lot of them have fierce for battle. They link up so well together, and I said it's just mainly Cooler and Freezer units. You know, Global doesn't have him just yet, but LR Gold and Freezer will be coming out within the next few months, so that is kind of like a slot 1 unit, while Cooler can stack up and just obliterate in terms of amount of damage he does in slot 2. So that's another one we can have. Him and LR Full Power Freezer work really well together. Can you imagine them two taking on a Goku event? You know, you have AJL LR Full Power Freezer just critting Goku non-stop, doing ridiculous damage, stacking up in his 18 key on defense, stacking up his attack on 12 key. Cooler stacking up on his 18 key, doing all the damage that he does. It generally would annihilate. The only thing is you don't have an out-and-out slot 1 unit between those two, which is a little bit of a shame, but still, I mean, look where this Cooler is. I mean, this friend Cooler does have a dupe, which I really want to dupe, and I'm not gonna lie, having the extra additional that would be a big help. Like, look what he's up to, man. And then, as I said in his showcase, if you then get his additionals, or if his 2 additionals become supers, that means he greatly raises his defense twice. And then if you have a dupe, he'll greatly raise his defense 3 times. And if you have a dupe and you're still within those 3 turns while you have another Terrifying Conqueror's ally on the team, which, as I said, is never difficult, because most of the units you're going to be running with are Terrifying Conquerors, not to mention he leads Terrifying Conquerors, so it's never really an issue. You're going to be doing, what, 4 additionals in total, 4 additionals, 5 super attacks in total, but 4 of them are going to greatly raise his defense. And then if you fully brought him up on his 10th attack, and of course you can do that in the first 3 turns, and you have a dupe, you can do 6 supers in total. 5 of them can be 12 keys where you greatly raise his defense by 250% in total. Like, he is generally such a fun unit to use, and he just obliterates events. Like, I know how valuable defense is in a lot of events. Like, it is. It's been that way for the last, like, 2-3 years in Dokkan. Like, units that have guard, damage reduction, stack up defense. You know, look at Ginyu, Tech Ultimate Gohan, even the new Carnival exclusive Tech STR Goku. A lot of them units, what do? They have guard, damage reduction, stack up on defense. It is very valuable because you need to survive this harder content, you know. That's what you need to do. You need to actually manage to survive it to beat it. But then you look at like LRSJ4s, the Super Saiyan Gods from year 7. Yes, their defense can get to a pretty decent length, but you typically have to transform them pretty quickly. So you don't get to stack them up that much. So on average, their defense is pretty much where Cooler's is right now. And they stack because you have to transform them early in the likes of Red Zone and also Cell Max event. And then of course, the bulk of their defense comes from their 18 key, where they're massively raise attack and defense, and then any additionals where they greatly raise their attack and defense afterwards. And then they're kind of good to go, especially if you have a dupe and you can get that extra super off. And Cooler's pretty much the same. Except, you know, the year 7s, the reason why they're also so good is because they also do so much damage. You know, they put out ridiculous attack stats, pretty much like it's nothing. Cooler, once he's fully built up, is putting out like a 9 million attack stat, and then you end up getting the additionals and the cumulative damage he does all together with all of his additionals, especially if you got a dupe, you still win the 3 turns, you hit the 10th attack. Even without them, the amount of damage he ends up doing together, like you do like a 9 to 11 million attack stat, then you do like a 6-7 million attack stat, then you do a 6-7 million attack stat again, and the amount of damage you do in total is just insane. Like, I'm incredibly impressed with Cooler already at 55%. He's probably going to be one of the best 55% aging units in the game. But he's definitely a unit that is incredibly fun to use, and I do believe will be even more fun to use with a dupe. So, I mean, I am very tempted to go back in, but I do want to save my stones, of course, for part 2, for whatever Dokkan Fest. I'll say whatever Dokkan Fest is coming next. It's pretty much been all but confirmed. Or kind of like soft confirmed that it's gonna be meta Cooler stuff. So, you know, even though that may not be the hypest to some people, I mean, the Goku and Vegeta is probably gonna come out, whether that's gonna be a dual unit or an exchange, and also the Carnival exclusive meta Cooler that will probably be coming. They're probably gonna be ridiculously good anyway. But Cooler is definitely a unit I want to get a dupe in. But so far, Cooler's just been dominating. I mean, both Coolers have been dominating. I mean, that doesn't surprise me, considering he stacks attack and he's in a longer event. You know, Goku and Vegeta event are the longest events in the game. You know, one or the longer events in the game. So this is essentially just Cooler's playground. Right now, we're literally just taking him to the playground. We literally just said to Cooler, do you want to go on the swings? I've actually forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. But yeah, phone's dry. But yeah, this is pretty much just saying to Cooler, do you want to go on the swings? Do you want to go on the swings? Do you want to go play some football or something? Like, literally, this is Cooler's playground for him to just wheel out as much damage as possible and him to just annihilate Vegeta. I even brought him in the Vegeta event first to see how he does with type disadvantage against SSB eventually when we get there. But right now, he's just obliterating the event. And I didn't even bring Turles for support, which is another good thing you could do, because obviously, Easy A Turles, really good Easy A, and you could bring him on this team. And then Cooler can be putting out even more attack and have a little bit more defense. I mean, look where he's at. Mine's 55%, and he's on an 860k attack stat and 234k defense. Like, it's just generally ridiculous. And he has almost a 2 million attack stat after picking up some orbs. Like, this Cooler is just nutty. Like, as I said, the raw power of this unit is dumb. 7 million. You know, yeah, it's not like Kaioken Goku 10 mil, or potentially like the year 7s if you have dupes and stuff. But then Cooler gets his additionals. If Cooler gets both his additionals and they turn into supers, as I said, the amount of damage he does altogether, it's just ridiculous. And again, if you have a dupe and then he gets another additional and does a third one and potentially a crit along the way, so the amount of damage he does altogether, it really is reminiscent. This must be his 10th attack as well. It really is reminiscent of Easy A VB or Fizz VB when he dropped originally, and also Tech VB. Just the amount of damage they end up doing all together, they just end up annihilating. And it's even similar to Tech VB now, and of course JP has his Easy A, he also stacks attack, which Cooler also does in his 18 key. So not only is he getting stronger throughout the entire event and just doing insane amounts of damage anyway because of all the additionals, etc. But I said he's stacking the entire time, which means his super attacks are only going to do more and more and more damage, which is just kind of ridiculous considering how much damage he's doing already. And as I said, Goku and Vegeta event like we're in now, they're the longer events of Dokkan, where Cooler has the time to do so. Depends on what units you could take. You could swap some of the units out, or you could, avoid getting supers with other units and let Cooler stack up even more and go at a steady pace. Can you imagine what he could be on if you kind of went down the, the slow strat route by the time we got to SSBE? I mean, his attack stats are already insane now. I said, could you imagine if you took it at a steady pace where he could get to? It's generally ridiculous. He's so much fun to use. We ain't even used his active yet, but he's so much fun to use. So much fun to use. And like this, as I said, he's one of the few units I actually want to like go after a dupe in. I don't want to chase it until I have no stones. That would just be stupid. But he's one of the few units in the game, Year 7's included recently, where I've actually sat and gone, I really want a dupe. But it's not even one of those where you sit there and go, oh yeah, I kind of wish I had a dupe, and then you kind of just forget about it and move on. No, this is one of them where I'm very tempted to go back in with like, just do one more rotation of the 3+1 and hopefully get him. I mean, look at this. Now he is fully built up. This is 55%. 55%. With Big Bad Bosses active. He has a 1.19 million attack stat. That is literally just scraping almost 1.2 with 289k defense. Then he greatly raises his defense twice on the additionals. He's always guaranteed his 18 key as well. Look, we haven't even picked up a keys for him. We've already got it. So you're always stacking no matter what. Once Cooler is somewhat, not even fully built up with that key +5. Once he is somewhat fully built up, you're always guaranteed to get his 18 key, which means you're always stacking guaranteed, which means Cooler, no matter what, is always getting stronger and stronger and stronger. We're over a 2.1 mil attack stat right now. He generally is just, I don't think I've ever seen such just raw dominant power like this with very little effort. Yes, he needs to stack up, but like once his passive's fully built up, not even including the stacking, Cooler's still putting out some insane amounts of damage. Like 7.9. This is a 55%. 55% free dupe. This is how good he is. Honestly, it's ridiculous. As I said, we're kind of in a playground right now for Cooler, so we actually do get to kind of show him off a little bit more because we can let him stack. Considering this is a longer event, but it's still just a little bit ridiculous. Let me pop an 8 rather than have the damage reduction. Where's the friend Cooler on right now? 366k defense, and I am gonna let him super first. Actually, do you know what? I'm gonna put him in here and see how he does. And then we'll pop the active next turn on my Cooler because we're showcasing my Cooler, so my Cooler gets to do his active. I'll probably end up doing both anyway. But yeah, he's just so dominant. So dominant. And even in like a shortened event, and I've seen clips of him against Red Zone Broly, and it's generally ridiculous like how well he tanks against one of the hardest hitting bosses in the game while having type disadvantage. I've seen him against Cell Max. He's also very good there. Like even in ESBR, like don't forget about these older events. Like ESBR is also power scaling with the new 200% leading units, right? And constantly being updated. So while it may not be ridiculously hard like Red Zone, it's still being updated, so I wouldn't not pay attention to it. Even there, Cooler is gonna be so dominant because of the built-in additionals, and again, Terrifying Conqueror ally on the team as well, you're gonna be stacking up so quickly to get that full 100% off the attack and defense plus 10% each time he attacks. That would literally take you 2 turns to get. 2 turns to get, or literally at the beginning of the 3rd turn, which is pretty much kind of halfway through SBR, but even then, before he's even fully built up, Cooler's at a pretty decent spot. halfway stacked up his passive. But do I have the settings on? I do have the settings on. I just have to do this. And we're going to play his animations, which are probably some of the best animations in the game. His animations are so nice. Like, his active has to be one of the best in the game, hands down. But let me know what you think.
I'm not short-sighted like my brother. I will be sure to exterminate every last one of you! Say goodbye!
That supernova is so fun to watch, and not to mention he's also got the nullify, he's got the disable. So the first attack in the turn with Vegeta is going to be nullified. We obviously know how useful that is. I mean, look at his defense. I mean, to be fair, we do have an 8 active. But don't forget, as I said, we still have LR Golden Freezer to come out, which, you know, pretend this is the LR AJL Golden Freezer, is a great slot 1 unit, one of the best defensive units in the game. So Cooler can sit in slot 2. You don't have to take any extra unnecessary damage. But as you've been seeing throughout this entire event, Cooler's been in slot 1. Before he even supers, before he gets any potential additionals and medium chances to super where he greatly raises his defense, Cooler's taking like 100k on a super. Which, as I said, considering he hasn't supered or raised his defense, with just sheer, like, just over what? Almost 300k defense, he tanks for 100k on a super. Which is incredibly impressive. We do have an 8 still active right now. Actually, I will pop the Whis just because of the Fizz final form Cooler. He's kind of been neglected. Which I apologize. I still like you, man. You're still very good, but the strength LR Cooler is the cooler right now. So, you know, kind of have to focus on him. So I will pop the Whis just to make sure we don't die. But he has so many great rotations. As I said, you have the LR Golden Freezer, which Global is yet to get. That allows him to go in slot 2, where you don't have to take any unnecessary damage. But he still tanks it once he's fully built up pretty well anyway. And even better, of course, with an item. And I know some people's kind of schneidi about items, where it's like, oh, but he needs an item to do that. Items are part and parcel of the game. You know, if you don't use items, then you have a high chance you'll die unless you're specifically going for a no item run. So I never really get that argument. So there's that one. I said there's AJL, LR, Full Power Freezer, them two just stacking up together, just literally just obliterating like most of the events in the game. Sounds like a lot of fun to do again, especially facing a Goku enemy, even just a super class enemy, but especially against a Goku enemy where Full Power Freezer's critting. Even with this Freezer, it's been working incredibly well. And then of course the perfect ideal one, which again hopefully he does get an easy A in part 2, the Strength transforming Dokkan Fest Cooler. Because they link up perfectly together. Not to mention that Cooler is still really good. As I said, the only thing that lets him down in today's content is his defense just isn't enough. Like, it's just not enough whatsoever. So, you know, if he does get an easy A, his defense gets updated. Of course, the numbers get bumped up a bit, you know, to fit in with 2022 Dokkan. And as I said, his defense is enough. You know, maybe he gets something on Super where he greatly raises his defense. So just as long as his defense is enough, that rotation is going to be a lot of fun to use, especially against pure and hybrid Saiyans. But yeah, we're about to finish him off. We'll probably end up finishing him off with the Friends Cooler. But yeah, as I said, I don't think I've seen dominance or this much just raw power, just raw dominance before in Dokkan. Like, I've seen dominant units drop, you know, Super Vegeta, you know, the Year 7 units like that, but I feel like Cooler's just on a whole nother level when it comes to just sheer power and dominance on offense. Like, he just is. And this is at 55% as well. Mine is at least. And I've just been so impressed using him. And I haven't even used him that much. But yeah, there's not been many units that have released in Dokkan. I think I'm confident, pretty confident in saying there's not been many units released in Dokkan that have kind of come out with this sheer amount of power and dominated the way Cooler has. Yeah, man, I'm impressed. As I said, taking him into a longer event like that was basically taking Cooler into his playground and let him stack up the entire time and just get his attack to ridiculous lengths. And as I said, it's fun. It's so fun to use him. But do let me know what you think down in the comments. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. And peace.